Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. A few days back, we went and checked out the Warzone subreddit to see exactly what the internet was saying about the game. Was it a lot of screaming about how bad the game is? Was it a completely different perception of the game at this point? And obviously, that's something we have available to us now. We can live react to what the game is doing, what it's changing as it's happening. What we don't have quite yet is Black Ops 7. We've only had a few announcements and reveals for this so far. The original teaser trailer that was a part of the Xbox Game Showcase, and just recently we got the full announcement that the worldwide reveal would be taking place at Gamescom opening night live on August 19th. So with this being some somewhat fresh news now in regards to the worldwide reveal coming up, I wanted to see what people recently have been saying about Black Ops 7, because from my POV, I get, hundreds of comments, daily talking about the upcoming games, and some of it's positive, some of it's negative, some of it's, I don't really care. I don't know why they're releasing another COD game, right? But I did want to see what, the general internet was saying that isn't just necessarily my audience, my viewers on the main channel, right? So the BO7 subreddit, this is the official one. There's not too many people on it quite yet. I don't know how known they've made this, but the most upvoted post in the last week is in fact the announcement of the worldwide reveal coming on August 19th. It's got a couple of comments. Let's see exactly what people are saying with this. So most likely just a campaign segment, and then COD Next shows the rest of the game would be somewhat similar to MW3. This is what I would anticipate for this and what I would expect. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, we're gonna finally see Warzone, we're gonna finally see multiplayer. Typically some of this stuff, the first initial reveals, like Call of Duty has a cycle that they stick to with their marketing. It's game announcement, title, small teaser, and then it's a full campaign reveal showing off some gameplay and the overall story, and then it's multiplayer, zombies, and whatever else at a full event. Now it's COD Next. Before it used to be like E3 or other things there, right? But that's typically the schedule of it. It's not usually a situation where we see multiplayer ahead of campaign or zombies ahead of campaign. We might see some slight teasers for those things associated with a campaign or a gameplay reveal, but most of the time, this first initial worldwide reveal is going to be some kind of campaign level walkthrough where we see 10 minutes of footage from one of the campaign missions. That's originally and initially what I'd expect here for opening night live, but they also said this is opening up Gamescom in a massive way, so maybe they have more expected for this than what they typically reveal at this. I mean, Black Ops 7 definitely needs to nail its marketing, because as it stands right now, there's not much hype going into it. Like, a lot of people are viewing this as, oh, it's another Treyarch game, they just flopped with BO6, I'm not interested, or oh, it's coming right after Black Ops 6 just dropped, this is just going to be a DLC. The interest in this, I think the launch hype could really stumble if the marketing is not great. So we'll have to see what they do with it. People obviously agreeing with that. Yeah, it's probably going to be campaign gameplay. It was 2012 at Gamescom when they revealed the Black Ops 2 multiplayer the first time I played it. They basically started to ignore Gamescom shortly after for years in favor of their own events to reveal COD. But now it's 2025 and we've come full circle back to revealing Black Ops at Gamescom. So that's kind of cool. I remember that teaser was narrated by Frank Woods playing over and over while we waited an hour or so just to play a single match of BO2 multiplayer, and it was totally worth it. Like, is there that same hype for Call of Duty now? Like, it's a completely different thing. Back then it was like so exclusive to get hands on the game early, where if you got tickets to E3 or you were invited out, it was a huge deal because you could play one single match of the game coming out. Whereas now it's like, okay, we're gonna get an original teaser, and then we're gonna get a blog, and then we're gonna get the worldwide reveal, and then the multiplayer reveal, and then the zombies reveal, and then COD Next, and then the alpha sometimes, and then the beta, and then the launch. And then by the time launch comes around, you're like, yeah, I know everything about this game. I know what it is, how it plays, what to expect. You know everything there is to know about it. Whereas back in the day, it was much more mysterious. You knew a little bit about it, but it was super exclusive. I feel like that worked well for marketing back in the day, and I'm kind of surprised they're not as mysterious. Maybe now it's just because they want as many eyes as possible on it at all times rather than just during the fall, because they're more live service now than ever. That's why they've changed the direction there. Switch 2, baby. It will be really interesting to see if Black Ops 7 is the first game available on the Switch 2. Call of Duty did confirm they're actively working with Nintendo to make Call of Duty available on that platform. Who knows if that's going to happen in the next year or so, or if it ends up being MW4, since that's going to be the next major engine update, full overhaul to everything there. The next step in the Call of Duty era presumably is COD 2026. Praying for a better multiplayer, I am as well. I mean, Black Ops 6 multiplayer is kind of stale to me. Like, I played it a ton at launch and I didn't really love it. It was a multiplayer. Nothing really stood out to me in particular about it. I played it, I got my guns leveled, I got my camos. I played it for the new weapons here and there, or to do an event here and there. But MW3 multiplayer, it had me coming back. I was doing my aftermarket parts, my seasonal challenges, everything like that. BO6 doesn't really entice me in the same way. I hope BO7 can learn from that, and I'm hopeful that Treyarch developing both games means they can get that direct feedback of BO6 multiplayer, not the greatest. Let's change that for BO7. And that actually segues perfectly into Yeetmaster 420 here. Is Sledgehammer working on multiplayer, or is it still Treyarch? There was that leak from, I think it was the Ghost of Hope. It was some leak about how Sledge is currently in development of multiplayer in BO7, as well as Treyarch. They're co-developing it, which hopefully leads to good things for multiplayer. Treyarch can respond to feedback, and Sledge can also work on what they know is the right formula for a multiplayer for COD at this point in the franchise, because they knocked it out of the park with MW3. And this is actually a really good theory here. If I had to guess, Sledgehammer's probably handling post-launch content and updates, but Treyarch still has creative lead on the game, so it's gonna feel like a Black Ops game. I would be very surprised if it was any other situation other than that. That seems like a pretty accurate depiction of what to expect with this. That's what I'd probably assume going into it, until we get a full announcement of who's doing what and how much impact they have. This is an interesting take too. I hope to make it a fully Black Ops game, feeling like Black Ops 3 was, for example. Cold War and Black Ops 6 feel like Modern Warfare games with Black Ops costumes on. I think that could be especially true for Black Ops 6. Cold War definitely felt different from Modern Warfare at the time. I don't necessarily think it means different in good ways for what it's worth, but Cold War more so than Black Ops 6 felt like a Black Ops game. But there definitely is, I think, a big gap between BO1, 2, and 3 and then the latest Black Ops games. Now, beyond just the worldwide reveal announcement, let's see what else this subreddit is saying. This post has an insane amount of comments as opposed to upvotes here. With how the last game is treated, how would Black Ops 7 be any different? I think this is a viewpoint of a ton of people in the COD community. Okay, with how the devs and Activision treated Black Ops 6, how would BO7 be any different? To me, it'll just be going to a new Call of Duty with the same old problems: skill-based matchmaking, ridiculous looking skins, cheaters, bugs and glitches, AI slop. Let's face it, to me, this franchise is done. I wouldn't be surprised if okay, this is a little too extreme. Here's the thing. A lot of people say, hey, Call of Duty is done. Call of Duty's dead. This is over. It's over. It's all done. And then they say it's over every other week somehow. It ends a lot, apparently. But you got to keep in mind, Call of Duty is so much larger than you think. Even when the game is in a bad state, which we can throw it back. In March of 2025, when Call of Duty was at one of the lowest points ever, this was just prior to Verdansk launching, and Black Ops 6 Warzone was not going well at all. Black Ops 6 multiplayer was not going well at all. The game had 20 million players on all platforms during the month of March. Games would dream, other titles out there that are not Call of Duty would dream of having 20 million people on in 1 month. That was Call of Duty at one of the lowest points in the last half decade. They since then saw the boom of Verdansk. That's now plateaued and sort of downfalled a little bit, or snowballed down a little bit. But Call of Duty is still doing probably more than 20 million a month, which is so much money for them. And those are numbers that will go to the shareholders, and that will look good because they'll compare them to this game, that game, and this game and say, hey, they didn't even eclipse these numbers ever in their peak, and we hit it during our low, right? So Activision's not going anywhere for some time. Call of Duty is a money printing machine, and until it's not, then it's going to be around, plain and simple. To the start of this comment, though, yes, this is all probably still going to be largely persistent. Skill-based matchmaking is not going anywhere in COD ever. Anyone who expects that is just setting themselves up for disappointment at this point. Ridiculous looking skins, I'm curious to see how much they play into it. They have more of an opportunity to do so because it's a semi-futuristic game. It would make more sense to have flashy, outlandish stuff in that game versus Black Ops 6 set in the past a little bit, but they clearly don't care about that too much. Cheaters, unless they do something significant with Ricochet, yes, cheaters are still going to be there. Bugs and glitches, most likely, because it's still going to be a part of the HQ. Then AI slop, I mean, it's a lot of bundles and calling cards and stuff like that. And obviously, Microsoft just laid off so many people and are apparently doing a lot of that reinvesting into AI. So it is concerning there. So there's a lot of validity in this comment. I also think there's a little bit of exaggeration here as well. I'm glad that the top comment here, though, for what it's worth, is sort of reiterating what I said. You're insane if you think there's literally any chance of Activision shutting down. The cycle is going to continue forever. Even this company's worst games like Vanguard sold 30 million copies. Outside of franchises like Call of Duty, this number simply does not exist. It took Elden Ring 3 years to reach this number. So it's a lot of perspective. Yes, people hate Call of Duty. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the franchise. The game is not always great, and it is a spam of games yearly, but it makes money, and it makes more money than all of these other franchises that release fantastic games do. That's why Microsoft wanted it, in addition to everything else that they bought as well in that acquisition. But Call of Duty's not going anywhere anytime soon. Boy, this is another one with a massive comment ratio. Why is everyone already hating on Black Ops 7? As a guy who hasn't been playing COD for years, I just watched the trailer. It looks much different from the other COD games until I saw all the posts talking crap about it. Like, the game isn't out yet. I know y'all are going to say the same argument on me, but how do you guys know it's going to be the same gameplay as all the other COD games in 2020? To be honest here, I'm going to buy the game and play it just for fun. People are already disappointed in the campaign. Like, did you already play the campaign? No, I don't have Activision's meat in my mouth. I'm not a COD fan. I'm not interested in other COD games, but I just recently checked out the latest COD and they are all old. I'm saving up my money to buy Black Ops 7 because surely BO6 would be a dead game and I haven't bought it. In conclusion, I just want to talk about the amount of hate COD BO7 is getting. We know it might have a trash campaign or a good storyline. If it is the same gameplay or more unique and different gameplay, it could be either, but what I'm pointing out is we need to wait and see what the game has to offer before making up excuses. I think the gaming community in general is so far ahead of games right now, where it is, you see 1 second of a game or you hear the title of a game and you try to instantly form an opinion. I think that's just a whole, I don't know what it is these days, but it is a common theme for sure, where we just jump to conclusions and then we want confirmation bias for those conclusions. You don't want to hear that opposing viewpoint or that other POV if it goes against what you want to already think about it, and then you're just looking for things to confirm that maybe. But this top comment says, nobody hates Call of Duty like Call of Duty players. I saw a comment the other day that called BO6 Zombies brain rot and got downvoted because I pointed out the gameplay loop is the same as it's always been. I mean, it's not wrong. Call of Duty doesn't differ that much year over year, and some people praise one thing and then hate it the next year when it just doesn't change all that much. That's an accurate comment. Nobody hates COD like COD players. Most of the fan base is still high on nostalgia. They're complaining about newer games being recycled content when it's always been like this. I still remember everyone complaining about MW3 being a carbon copy of MW2 with some minor tweaks, but they were shut out because COD was the cool kid game and calling it out made you not cool. Now that the trend has died, people are calling it out, but the fact that it took people this long to finally see it's pretty embarrassing. I mean, MW3 I think was largely different from MW2, but if you want to talk about the COD player base being high on nostalgia, you also get the same conversation of, hey, you guys need to stop recycling content. This is not new or innovative. You just took Black Ops 6 and put in a bunch of content from the old games. But then they do the other thing. They make the new content and everyone's like, hey, your new content sucks. Just bring back the old content. And from a COD developer POV, they're like, what do you guys want? You yell at us when we do the old thing. You say to do new, we do new, and you say you just want the old thing. Make up your minds. It's a tough spot to be in. This is another pretty common, sentiment. We literally got BO6 last year. We're gonna get an MW3 situation where only the multiplayer might be decent. Depends on how much they saved for Black Ops 7. Like, if they were gonna push out Outbreak and Black Ops 6, saw it wasn't ready and pushed to Black Ops 7, could actually be a really good thing. The campaign, I'm really curious about. That's something they could have been working on a while ago, 4 or 5 years ago by the time that the game ends up releasing. So I'm just really curious to see the state of the game when it launches. And that's just something you can't make an opinion on or can't form an opinion on until you actually see it and get hands on it. And this actually piggybacks on this quite a bit. I feel like this is going to be like a T-ball setup for home runs, depending on if you want to hate the game or you want to love the game. Why have they started to release games of these same sub-series just a year after the last one? At least having a different developer and setting each year helped things keep somewhat fresh. When you went from Black Ops to Modern Warfare to Black Ops to Modern Warfare to Ghosts to Advanced Warfare, it at least made the games year over year feel different enough. But then you have MW2, MW3, both MW games, there's going to be a lot of similarities and carryover and stuff like that. BO6 to BO7, a lot of similarities, a lot of carryover. And now you have Treyarch doing 2 games in a row. Like I said, T-ball setup here. If you hate the game, you're going to be able to say, hey, Black Ops 7 sucks because Treyarch was so focused on also making Black Ops 6 that they didn't have time to make it good, or they fumbled it. They didn't do it right with Black Ops 6. Of course, they're not going to do it right with Black Ops 7. Or if the game ends up being good, it's, hey, T-ball setup. Treyarch was able to do this because they made Black Ops 6 a year ago. They saw what went wrong and they fixed it right away, right? either side here, either POV is going to have a layup. It's just going to be which side comes to fruition first, right? So some interesting perspectives on something we really haven't learned too much of yet officially. We have a decent bit of knowledge because of leaks and rumors. Shout out to COD HQ. But that's generally what people online are saying about Black Ops 7 right now. That's going to wrap things up for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like. If you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Once again, though, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.